Well, it's very good to be here. It's been a long and productive day, I think. I really enjoy being here. Whoops, well, maybe I'll have some slides. There we go. I really enjoy being here down in Silicon Valley because really this is where the world-class organizations get together to make sure that they are managing their operations in the best world-class way possible. And I think, frankly, given that this is a global industry, many of the lessons that are learned here will percolate out to other organizations throughout the world who have equal, if not more daunting, challenges with respect to managing their data centers and their entire economies, where technology is a big piece of this. So I'd really like to say that I think today's event was really well organized. The venue's been great, and certainly appreciate SVLG and NetApp really doing a great job. So let's make sure at the end of the event we give them a good, strong round of applause. So I think what I'd like to talk about today is really just a couple of things that complement what Paul is talking about. The federal government is interested in what data centers are and what they do in terms of the services they provide. We're also, frankly, interested and have to be concerned with the fact that not just data centers, but all sectors of the economy are increasingly consuming more of our resources, and that brings with it certain fundamental challenges that call into question the way we are doing things now versus the way we probably should do them in the future. I think you've probably heard my talk and Paul's talk a number of times, and you get it. Clearly, this audience gets it. What I think is interesting is that we're developing a set of tools, I think, that are useful for your organizations to move ahead, to squeeze out extra costs, to reduce your overhead. And what that does for Paul and I and for our government objectives is helps us achieve or tackle the twin problems of energy security and climate change and energy supply and growing demand without necessarily all of the clean resources being online for us to be able to grow in a clean and sustainable way. So I'm just going to talk about a few of the things that we're doing at Energy Star, and I guess let's dive into that real quick. So first of all, again, I work for the Climate Protection Partnership at the EPA. Of course, my program is the Energy Star program. So really what I think we have at EPA, the Energy Star program, really you boil it down to just to three very simple things. And I've listed them here. We do labeled products, we do data center building metrics, and then we have something that I think is related, which is a big focus on trying to make sure that desktops or clients are power managed. And so I want to talk about that piece first. And each of them have their own websites. And again, I think all of them are complementary. And I think the other thing that you might say is Paul's really focused on four things. I'm really kind of focused on three things. We're not trying to do everything here. We think we understand that your industry has a lot of capability, a lot of smart people, and I think you understand what can and should be done. And these are some tools that you can use at your discretion. But we're not trying to do everything. We're not trying to order you to do everything. We're simply trying to identify those folks that will take advantage of this, that will be leaders and show leadership to not only people in this region of the country, but all over the US and throughout the world. So the first thing I just want to mention is that if you've got clients, you've got desktop computers in your buildings, you power manage those. It reduces the energy consumption of the building. It makes your building look more efficient, and it is more efficient. The building uses less energy. It's a simple thing to do. Don't forget about it. And probably within your organization, you have some sway, some ability to reach the people within your community, within your companies who can make this happen. And the computers have the capability. They're getting more powerful with time. And so making sure that each of them is power managed is an important part of the desktop to the data center strategy. So the other thing we're doing is we're writing specifications for Energy Star products. We just finished our first server specification back in May, and I'm pleased to announce that we have some manufacturers that are gravitating to it. And it had an assortment of criteria, sort of a layer cake, if you might think of it in those terms. That layer cake describes a unique set of characteristics that an Energy Star server would have vis-a-vis a conventional server. So I'm not going to go into the detail about what those different components of the layer cake are, but suffice it to say, no matter how you use an Energy Star server, it's going to be better than the conventional server that you can find elsewhere. We're quickly and rapidly moving towards also adding a new piece of the layer cake, which is trying to define how efficient a server can be when it's actually doing computing. Not an entirely unimportant point, in my opinion. So we are working towards what we refer to as sort of a Tier 2 specification. We hope to get all this done sometime early next year so that we could transition to this new specification in 2010. And of course, the outside world, all they know is that the product is Energy Star, but behind the scenes, we're refining the specifications. So we're moving down that path. We had a great meeting a couple weeks back over at Sun Microsystems. Had a very good, diverse group of participants that gave us very good feedback on how to develop a new refined Tier 2. And I think the interesting thing for me was probably 20% of the attendees were people that run data centers or buy IT. So no longer is it legitimate for anyone, and I'm not calling out anyone here in the audience, to tell me